You just did something pretty freaking awesome. You hit play on TechVibe Pittsburgh to get your front row seat to Pittsburgh's technology and innovation ecosystem. I am your host, Jonathan Kirsting with the Pittsburgh Technology Council, and I've been telling the stories across Pittsburgh's tech industry for nearly 30 years now. So what if you could go from idea to a physical product in less than 24 hours right here in Pittsburgh? Whether you're a startup founder, engineer, or maker, chances are you've run into some frustrating roadblocks. Getting prototypes made is slow, it's expensive, and often pretty inflexible. Well, this episode dives deep into how Tronix3D is rewriting the rules of manufacturing by using cutting-edge 3D printing to rapidly prototype, scale production, and even print in titanium. And yes, they're doing it all from Pittsburgh's glorious East End. I couldn't be more excited to welcome Tronix3D's Mike Vindler and Alex Trader, so you can discover how Tronix3D helps startups and defense contractors alike bring products to life faster than ever. Learn why printing 4,000 completely different parts at once isn't just possible, it's happening right now. And hear how Tronix3D spun out multiple companies just by unleashing its in-house creativity and technology. So keep on listening to find out how Tronix3D is accelerating innovation, building the future, and why you just might want them printing your next big idea. So let's welcome Mike and Alex to TechVibe. Welcome to the Huntington Bank Studios. Mike Vindler, Alex Trader, great to have you guys here today. You guys are building a company that I just think is so cool. I just nerd out when it comes to building stuff, right? I could forever be playing with Legos. But you guys are playing with Legos on an extremely cool molecular level, for lack of a better term, when it comes to all things 3D printing. You're building stuff every single day with your technology. I think it's so cool, and I love the fact that you're in Pittsburgh's East End doing what you do. Thanks for being here today. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Great to be here.
We always got to start with introductions here. So, Mike, you're at the helm of this place, man. I mean, you've been doing 3D printing for like ever. I think you're like the godfather, the forefather of 3D printing here in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, just start on with that. I've been 3D printing since about 2005. We got our first machine. So I spent 15 years in the energy industry, worked for a large Fortune 500 company in the R&D space. Was on the additive manufacturing team, really got heavy into that, got into end-use parts. I've seen 3D printing, over the past 20 years really evolve. And then about 3.5 years ago, I took the leap into entrepreneurship and basically acquired the 3D printing manufacturing company, which is Tronix3D. So
love it.
I'm the CEO and owner now, and it's been a wild ride.
That's a cool story. I'm always amazed when someone's working a really cool job, making just doing great stuff, and they're like, "No, I want to do something like this." And you go and you start something, you buy something, and build it. That's awesome. Those are the types of things that's making Pittsburgh cool. Simple as that. So I'm glad you made that choice. It seems like it's working out for you pretty well.
Oh, it's been working out, and the difference, to your point of being here in Pittsburgh, when you're big, we're a big part of a corporate company, you don't really get to know the local ecosystem. And so after, acquiring Tronix3D and jumping in and meeting everybody in the ecosystem, including Alex, right?
Right.
And after, a few years ago, it's been amazing, and it's really, I think, opened up Pittsburgh for me in a different way.
I love it.
Outside of work even.
Yeah.
So.
And when I learned that Alex was now a part of Tronix3D, I got very excited because I've known Alex for a while. He's been with some really cool companies. He's definitely one of our people in the ecosystem here that knows what's going on. So I was like, wait, this is a cool combination going on here. Alex, what made it so interesting to be hanging out with Tronix3D?
Yeah, I think, Mike and I, we often joke about how we met and how our friendship started probably 3.5, 4 years ago. And it was one of those periods of times where I was trying to hit up every networking technology event that I could possibly hit up. And after a few of them, Mike and I would see each other at sometimes multiple different events in a given day.
Why do I keep running into you?
Yeah, we would joke about, like, are you following me? Or is my calendar shared? Like, what's happening here? And I think the one that really solidified it was his wife was showing a property downtown And I went as a +1 to a friend's event, and it wasn't even necessarily a tech event. And kind of the after party of this event was going up and kind of walking through this loft and then having like a rooftop thing. And his wife was showing the property, and as I walk in, I see Mike like down the hall, and I'm like, dude, what are you doing here?
It's officially your stalking.
What is happening? Yeah,
We were
and we
outside attack.
became super fast friends after that. And after many, many conversations and beers later, here I am today at Tronix. So
I love it, man. So first off, 3D printing, this is a vast topic. And obviously, you can 3D print pretty much anything these days. What are the core things that Tronix3D does? Like what is your bread and butter when it comes to 3D printing?
Well, I think there's a difference there, right? Like our bread and butter might not even necessarily be like the super cool things that we're doing.
That's okay.
That may end up shifting and pivoting.
But I always find that so interesting, though, because I love it when a company is just innovating and making great money and just doing great stuff around something you're like, what, that little piece? It's like, yeah, but without that little piece, that submarine doesn't go very far or something like that. I just feel like there's a lot to be said for like, it doesn't have to be the sexiest thing in the world, but if you're making something and it's needed, I'm in.
Well, I think to Alex's point, the key is that we have a bunch of stuff that we just manufacture all the time for regular customers. It's cool. Some of the parts go into nuclear submarines. Right. Some of the parts, a lot of them are Department of Defense. But I think one of the things that makes us stand out is that we truly have a passion. So even some of the things that aren't the massive revenue generators, we're still going after them.
Very cool.
We want to come in and we want to enjoy coming to work every day, and we want to take on those projects, and we want to, there's a certain amount of enjoyment to working with startups and working with the innovators here in Pittsburgh. They're not the ones that are going to be like, hey, I need 10,000 parts and run our printers for the next 2 years, right? But that's what gets you to come to work in the morning, and that's
totally.
And so I think we have a really good mix of making one really cool part for some autonomous drone, right, for a startup or something, and then we got the bulk of the production as well. But additive manufacturing is just really unique because we can make all of those parts all at the same time, and the manufacturing is flexible, right? Traditional manufacturing, you got to set up to do widget A, right? We can make 47 widgets that are for all different companies all at the same time. And so it's just a whole different kind of process flow. And that allows us to be fun, creative, throw in that one part. We're making fishing bobbers for a local company, try to do weird stuff.
Oh my goodness.
We printed Pokemon figures, right? We've done all of that stuff. Now, does that pay the bills? Not really, right? But man, it makes it a fun place to work. And we're always also printing stuff for ourselves. So,
I can imagine. Well, first off, you brought me this awesome fidget spinner here, man. And I'm kind of obsessed with it. This thing is like, I'm amazed. Like, it's got this cool little corkscrew on it, and it runs a gear, and I'm turning, and I'm like, and this thing was printed. That's just so cool to me. So, okay, so tell me then, let's cut this into two categories, and let's make this kind of fun. Okay, so what is the kind of stuff that actually that makes you the money so you can do then the fun stuff?
Yeah, so the stuff that makes us the money is the large production stuff, right? So we're making 500 server casings for a nuclear submarine, right? Or something like that.
Server casings. So tell me about that. That's really cool.
I don't even know how much I can say about it. But,
just a little.
Just a little bit.
Just don't kill me afterwards.
We're making, these polymer server housings for different Department of Defense Navy-related projects. Awesome. So we work with a really good customer in that space. We have a really unique relationship, and they're like a third of our business or something, right?
That, yeah.
They keep our machines running. They have long lead times. Just keep cranking, or keeps kind of that base load busy going.
And how did you find them as a customer? I'm always amazed. Like, I think about something like that, like this part on a submarine, and it's just like, wow, that has to be made. And someone's like, where do I get this? And they find you to make it. Like, that's so cool.
Yeah. So it's actually a unique story because they actually also sell the printers, right? So, and they're like a reseller of the printer, right? And they generally sell to the government entities. So that's how they're in the government space. So they sell government computer systems. They sell government, you know what I mean, right? Mm-hmm. And our big printers, our big multi-$100,000 printers are made by HP, right? So they're in that HP ecosystem, And so we started working with them on, they would do the service, they would buy the printers, and then they make their own bespoke products for the government as well. And they needed lots of overflow capacity. And so we ended up starting with that. And then they quickly realized that the quality of the parts coming out of our printer, were so good that they just shifted a bunch of their production to us, right?
Awesome.
Very cool.
Some of their more difficult stuff. So, and I don't know all the details. I don't know the whole back end, but they were like, "Hey, we really like what you're doing. Just run with it.
Just run with it, yeah."
And so our work with them just keeps ever increasing, and we just keep being that quality go-to supplier for them. And they have some of the same equipment in their own shop, and we're building a lot of parts
fantastic.
for them. So.
That's a great story. That's the type of stuff I'm like, that's how stuff
it's just a really good relationship. But and the more work they give us, the more printers we buy. So I'm sure it works all out.
It works all
everybody, right?
the same way, yeah.
Yeah, it's not a bad deal.
So how big is your facility as far as like with production? Like, how many printers do you have? Like, are they humming and strumming 24/7? Like, how does this work? I'm always impressed.
So my February till now pitch has been that we have about $2 to $3 million worth of 3D printers in our space right now. Yeah, and that ranges from probably a dozen of the desktop version bamboos, and those we're not really doing any kind of production on. They're more quick and dirty prototypes,
Test it out, and
like
like
desktop
that.
trinkets, Christmas ornaments, those types of things.
Christmas ornaments, all right.
Yeah, man, we'll get you one for Christmas. And then you go into kind of our more production level machines, which they're $300,000-$400,000 a piece, and we've got 3-4 of those types of machines right now, and then we have a handful of resin machines. We've got a couple of large format machines, and then we've got one large machine that we can do super polymers on, carbon peak, gold tem. Not to nerd out too much, but like these are pieces and components that could go to outer space and are radiation resistant and those types of things. So it's really super cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So what I love is, so then the nerdy stuff you guys get to work out on. that really, what's like the craziest, coolest thing you think you've ever like 3D printed?
Honestly, I think it's got to be like the stuff that we're onlining right now with the titanium. Yeah, I think that's by far that's like worth noting, and is like the coolest thing.
So you're able to 3D print with titanium.
Yes.
Whoa.
Yeah, we just onboarded the process for titanium. It's a powder-based process.
Of course,
and we can create it. And it's one of the newer processes, so it's just something that's just rolling out into the world. I mean, they've been able to 3D print titanium, but it's a more production-oriented process.
Gotcha.
So we're really excited what we do there. We already have a bunch of internal personal projects lined up, right?
I can imagine.
I own a few other companies as well, so we get to kind of, have fun and use this manufacturing for those projects. As far as my favorite, I don't know. I mean, there's just so many cool ones. I mean, the amount of robots and autonomous stuff that our parts have been on. There's been, big, national things that I see, and I'm like, I think we 3D printed that part, right?
That's what I'm talking about.
That's always fun. So some of it's hard to talk about, and some of it I don't think we're allowed to. But,
I know that.
But yeah, we print all sorts of fun stuff. I mean, I'm printing parts for my, I love, working on cars and race cars and racing cars, and I have my fun cars, and so I'm always printing parts for that, even aerodynamic parts for that, or anything.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. I built a diffuser for my car, a split.
I like to race Lotuses, so it's like so there's a lot of 3D printed parts on my car.
I can imagine. Very cool. I know before we hit the record button, I was talking to Alex, and like I know there's huge communities, 3D printing communities around like the Ford Maverick and Ford Broncos and the Bronco Sports, where people are doing stuff, which I'm thinking just so freaking cool. And I was watching this YouTube video where they 3D printed a part for a BMW door lock, and I'm like, oh man, I'm a car nerd too. So I'm like, man, I will need 3D some prints. I need to 3D print some parts.
When you come out to our shop, right, we'll make sure that there's a part for your Bronco being printed while you're out there, and you can see the process, right? We get all sorts of stuff, and that's one of the fun things that we get with customers is really understanding what their challenges are, right? So you talk about a broken door lock on a BMW or whatever. We like to jump in when people are having a challenge and then seeing if 3D printing can work for it.
Very cool.
We don't want to wait until someone says, hey, I need this part 3D printed and this is the material I need it out of, because most people don't even know about the types of 3D printing that we do and the types of machines that are available. Most people are thinking, oh, I got this $1,000 desktop machine, it's on my engineer's desk. That's what 3D printing is. That's not at all what we do, right? And not the quality, not the strength, not the production capabilities, So when we take it to that level, so we always tell our customers, like, hey, come to us with your challenges, right?
I like that.
And maybe we can solve them, right?
You're like being proactive in some ways.
100%. And I think it's how we all find more value together, right? Because if we can say, hey, we can move up your product launch by a month, right?
That's
a lot of value to our customers.
Completely.
You know, if we can say, hey, we can reduce your labor requirements because we're going to 3D print this all in one piece instead of 7 machine pieces, right? How are we, you know, kind of working around their constraints and then using that technology, but using it responsibly, right? I mean, I don't want to be that, you know, hammer where everything looks like a nail, right? We've told plenty of customers, hey, I don't think 3D printing's your thing, right? You know, like there's another production partner that we have that you should go talk to, right? We're glad to pass that on. But we want to always talk about that higher level because we have so many different technologies and so many different ways to help, you know. That's what makes it really exciting. I think those are the cool projects that you really get to work on.
That sounds like it. You have so much fun. I'm jealous, man.
And I think even to piggyback off of what Mike's saying, coming in, I mean, my background is not 3D printing. My background is not manufacturing. Like, I've been downloading and drinking from the fire hose of Mike's 20 plus years of experience in the team and everything like that since February. It's been a lot of education. Just going out and as far as new customer acquisition, it's having conversations with folks that have been in these industries for decades and saying, hey, listen, this is where additive manufacturing can work. Like there are material sciences and there are polymers that can do some of the same things that metal can, and you can save money here. You can do this. And so I just think it's such a, I feel like it's still such a blossoming industry, even though it's been around for decades.
I feel like it's just getting its legs in so many ways because of the advancements that are going on. When you're able to print something out of titanium, like you're starting to be able to solve some problems that couldn't be solved before. So I feel like things are coming together. What I'm curious about is, I mean, with our region having such deep industrial roots, we still make a lot of stuff here. So this has to be a great area to have your company because you can do a lot of business locally. I'm sure you do business, of course, around the world, but is there an extra bit of love here just because of our industrial roots or not? I'm curious.
Yeah, I think that's multifaceted, right? I think you know, there's so much manufacturing going on here that we can support those manufacturers. So even making fixtures, jigs, all that type of stuff. A lot of our customers are manufacturers. We also work with, you know, as a sub to some of those manufacturers, right? Where they're using their traditional manufacturing on 95% of the parts for that customer. And then we can take their parts, right? So a CNC shop, they don't want to make 3 of something. We're glad to make 1 of something, right? You know, you know, so there's a lot of very interesting ways for us to work together. And I think we're very much, you know, kind of my approach to all of these things, working with other manufacturers, doing all that. You work with other 3D printing companies. We're a rising tide floats all ships kind of people, right?
I love that attitude so much. Yeah, that's so important.
So we want to work, you know, we do work with other manufacturers and say, hey, if we can help your customer, if we can help you, we can do whatever. I don't care if you're selling it to them. I don't care if I'm selling it to them directly. None of that matters, right? We just want to provide value in the end and help people out. So I think Pittsburgh's a really cool place to be for that.
I love that. Yeah. Very cool. So I can only imagine how much the technology has changed since 2005. You probably can laugh at like your first printer in 2005. Like, and so how much has it changed? And what I'm also curious about is what's coming down the line. Like, I'm sure you're looking at some stuff that's going to be happening, and it has you probably pretty excited about new business you can drum up because of that, new problems you can solve, the cooler parts you can make for your Lotus because of that.
So just to put it in perspective, the printer that we got in 2005 when I was working at the large company, it was, I think, $150,000 or something. And it's not nearly as good as a $300 printer you can buy on Amazon right now.
That's amazing.
So when you just talk about that price scale, that kind of ability, it wasn't nearly as usable. The materials weren't as good. I mean, like nothing. I mean, it's been 20 years, but literally it's gone from $150,000 to $300 on Amazon. I could have it tomorrow and be printing in 15 minutes, right? You know, like that's really where that consumer grade 3D printing has got to, right? What we're really excited for in the future and what we're seeing is the more production-oriented side.
Right. Interesting. Yeah, tell me more about that.
So a lot of our big printers, they use like a powder feedstock, right? So it's not filament like most people are thinking, right? Most people think of 3D printing as the FDM machines, which is it's like a computer control hot glue gun, right? You got like a stick of plastic
it goes
in the
through, melts
backside.
it,
You got a hot nozzle, you're squeezing it out, you put a computer behind that, and now you can make fun shapes, right? That's what most people think of as 3D printing. We're doing it. We have powder coming in. We're spreading layers of powder, selectively fusing that, And what that allows us to do is when we press go on the machine once, we can have 400 parts come out the other end in 11 hours.
Whoa.
Right? And those 400 parts could be for 400 different customers.
Oh my goodness.
Or they could be 400 of all the same parts, right? So when we talk about production,
oh my goodness.
right, maybe production is that every part has a different serial number 3D printed into it. Right. And so a traditional manufacturing shop, right, you know, if you're injection molding, if you're doing whatever, now there's ways to get around all this, but those are 400 different parts, right? For us, we don't care. Our machines don't care. It doesn't take a different amount of time. It doesn't take any more setup time. It doesn't take any more maintenance on the machine, right?
Right.
So it really opens it up, right? So especially when we're working with like startups, early stage companies, right, and they're trying to sell their first 1,000 units, we can make the first 5. We can change the design. We can make the
you don't
next
have
10.
to commit to a whole run to get that price break or whatever it is.
It really opens up for that innovation, for changing, receiving customer feedback, doing all of that type of stuff. So sometimes, you know, customers are saying, hey, yeah, we want to make, you know, 4,000 parts in the next 3 months to support our growth, right? But I need you to make 5 now, and then we're going to give you a different file, and then we're going to make another 50, and then we're going to make 100, and then we're going to... So we can really support that scale, and I think a lot of companies struggle in those really early times of like, oh, I'm going to keep designing this because I want it to be perfect because I have to cut an injection mold, right?
Right.
Well, no, forget about it. Just make one. Let's try it, right?
To me, this seems like revolutionary. Like, this is like the next level of how stuff is going to get built. It completely wrecks the mold of being very rigid and having to have certain numbers and batches to make it affordable. Now it's like, yeah, we'll do 4,000. Let's start with 5 of this, and you can just keep iterating because the machine doesn't care. You just put the specs in and out it comes, right?
I mean, it's true iterative design.
Yeah.
And then it's extreme rapid prototyping.
Yeah, we're just in the process of going to market with a healthcare technology company. We spun out of Tronix3D, right? So we're already doing our own things, and you know, kind of practicing what we preach. Right? I mean, we're telling customers that they get to iterate faster. Well, we developed a company because we get to iterate faster.
Love that.
And so, you know, my business partner at Tronix3D is also our co-founder in the healthcare company. You know, he was basically imagining what the part needed to look like today, 3D printing it overnight and having functional parts that we could test on a person, like fully functional parts the next morning.
Oh my
goodness. And so you can imagine
Wow.
our speed to market was insane, right? Most of the competitors in our space take years to come to market.
Oh my God, yeah.
Because they're on weekly or monthly design cycles, and we were on daily or hourly design cycles, and it just really compresses that.
Wow.
And not only the speed, but when you open up that freedom and you have that accessibility to this technology, you basically say, okay, I'm going to do a lot more design cycles, and I'm going to get to a much more innovative solution, or I'm going to get to a better solution, because I don't have to say, hey, I got 5 shots at making this right. I could have 50 or 100 shots, and I could 3D print 4 slightly different versions all at the same time. And then
compare them. Yeah,
you can 4 next to each other.
Yeah, you can literally test them.
Yeah.
Oh my.
And so when you think about that, going to market, developing product, doing all that, just the acceleration and the value you create there, it's
intense.
unbelievable.
That is intense. Oh my good. Wow. Like my mind is kind of blown. Like I was excited because like, hey, I can make cup holders for my Bronco Sport. And it's just like, well, actually, we could build 4,000 at a time and make them all different.
Yeah.
And that to me is just like, wow. And what I love about all this is you're doing this here in Pittsburgh, man. Come on, man.
We
That's
are
awesome.
in the city. We're right in the East End. You know, we got when we go out to lunch, we see customers out at lunch, right? We want to be part of that ecosystem.
That's what it's about.
Before I acquired Tronix3D, they were down in the New Stanton area, Mount Pleasant, and it was like way too far outside the city. I mean, it's cool, industrial park, whatever, sure. I wanted to be here in Pittsburgh. I wanted to be able to go to the happy hours, invite people over. We bring people in for tours all the time. Anybody can just be like, hey, I want to come in and see what you guys do. I think seeing it in person is extremely impactful.
Yeah. Totally powerful to see stuff being made. I mean, that's
we just
awesome.
say, hey, this is what we printed today.
Right,
exactly.
Oh my
you can see
gosh.
it's pretty wild. So, So I think being here in the ecosystem is great. And I think Pittsburgh might be slightly biased, but has one of the best tech ecosystems out there. So,
I like the way you talk. Simple, because I would agree with you 100%. I think Alex is he's kind of thinking about it still, but
I'm not sold on Pittsburgh yet.
Exactly. He's not. Oh my goodness, that's so cool. Now, rumor has it like you've been in the running for like the Entrepreneur of the Year with Ernst & Young.
Yeah, it was very cool. I got nominated one of my buddies, Ralph, and then put me in contact with somebody at PNC that ended up nominating me, and that was awesome. But yeah, I got nominated for Entrepreneur of the Year. I guess it was, I didn't even know when I was being nominated how big of a deal it was.
It's a big deal, man. That just don't take anybody, man.
Yeah,
like, they've had people like you who are disrupting things.
Yeah,
like
I made it to regional finalists. So they
awesome.
narrowed me down to about a total of 15 people in the region. And I didn't quite make it to nationals. I guess I wasn't cool enough. But the people who wanted to go to nationals were like unbelievable, right? So I mean,
I'm giving you congratulations because I know everyone wants to like win, and I get it, but like no, when you're nominated and you go through the process, like that's a legit thing. I mean that's really confirms like you're doing some cool stuff. Like they're just not.
Yeah, we had to open up our books, like our financials. We had to, they came and interviewed, they did research. Like it was a wild process.
What you need to do next time is you need to bribe the judges with your 3D printed printers.
Something like that,
yeah.
I'm not sure.
Because then you'll be like, yeah, this is legit. Like these fidget spinners are for real. Like,
Yeah.
No, but seriously, that's great. I'm just curious because like, I always wonder, like, I always love being able to give our listeners a little bit of, like, entrepreneurial wisdom. I mean, you've been doing this for a while. You're building multiple companies, man. You're kind of on fire in a good way. Like, what stokes your fire, man? Simple as that.
I think, so and just a little bit of background. So I've been basically doing the entrepreneurial thing for maybe a little longer than I've on Tronix3D. We had my business partner and I had a company, one of the race car parts companies together while we were still at day jobs,
Okay.
So we kind of had a little bit of that going. But ever since, after like 3.5 years ago, it's just kind of accelerated, right? Part of my reasons for acquiring Tronix3D was my business partner is that savant engineer, unbelievable. The stuff he's building in his garage is, what everyone else is going to see in 10 years from now.
Completely.
And so we actually acquired Tronix3D to wrap that around him and then just to see what would fall out, right? I'm not saying we had a plan for what that next business would be, right? But now we've spun out multiple businesses and we've done some pretty wild stuff. And I always just joke, you just shake them and you see what falls out, right? And it's amazing. So, I don't know. It's been an awesome journey. And
how do you stay focused? Like,
it's a great question.
It's difficult. Lots of,
I'm glad you have Alex on your team.
Help you out. Alex runs my calendar. I got just stuff. I mean, there's lots of days where I'm like looking at my calendar and like, well, I guess I'm not eating lunch or going to the bathroom. You know what I mean, right? Like I gotta squeeze it in there somewhere. But yeah, I don't know. It's just exciting. I think we're just really excited about creating things. We're really excited about solving challenges. It's no matter how busy I am, and even if I'm putting in those 14-hour days or whatever, right? It's I wouldn't be doing anything else, right? It's just fun. I'm working with great people. Our teams are awesome. And then again, I'm right back doing it here in Pittsburgh makes it I think easier and better. And I think because people are so collaborative, right? I think here in Pittsburgh, and I think in other cities, people can be cutthroat, and people can be, people are always looking at, oh, you're my competitor, even if it's for funding, even if it's for whatever. And I don't feel that in Pittsburgh. In Pittsburgh, you feel like everybody's trying to get everybody up, right now, and so.
I'm glad to hear that because I want to believe that, and I believe I've experienced that myself over my near 30 years of covering this industry. But it's affirming when I hear someone who's out there actually doing it saying that, and that's really cool. I like that. Yeah,
I'll say as a friend first, and as an outsider, of Mike's mind. He does a very good job of like compartmentalizing things and just staying like even Steven. It doesn't matter if the world is exploding around him. Mike's just like,
I'm in this compartment right now.
All right, man. Like we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. I don't think in the last 4 months I've seen you like get ramped up above like a 5 or a 6. Like you operate consistently at like a 3.5.
So when I spent 15 years in the energy industry, I was one of the guys that if something went wrong, like during a service outage at a nuclear power plant, and they were like, oh my God, we can't get the generator back online. My phone rang, right? So like the challenges I experienced and the stress I experienced in the past, right, was so high.
There could be a meltdown.
Right. Well, it wasn't the reactor side, but you know what I mean. But it was like, a customer's losing $1 million a day. We have to go fix this, right? And Mike, hey, can you fix this? So like the pressure was always so high that like, I think that sets a level, right? And then everything else, you're like, hey, man,
it's like, hey, it's casual.
Hey, man, it doesn't have to happen the next 24 hours, like casual, right? That's like,
It's like we're just 3D printing parts here, man. It's gonna be okay.
So, I'm also all about solving the problem, not assigning blame. You know what I mean? Like, I think
sense.
you run into so many challenges in business, and I think, I've definitely worked with a lot of people that like when something goes wrong, the first thing they say is like, well, how, who made that decision? Why do we make? No. Okay, what decision do we need to make next to just move us forward?
Yeah,
right?
let's just keep moving forward.
Done that.
Yeah,
I'm working with lots of people I trust. I have great employees. I have great co-founders. I have all that type of stuff. So
that's cool.
When you establish that level of trust, then you just need to move forward, right? Because you're not, we're all just like blindly guessing at half of this stuff. So you have to just keep going.
Love it, man. That's so cool. And I'll go back to it one last time. And you're doing that here in Pittsburgh, which gets us stoked because these are the things that are making our region just tick. And it's been so much fun talking to you guys today. I need to stop by for a tour.
Please.
And maybe I'll come with a file
of
of something I want printed.
Send it ahead of time. We'll have the printer running already when you get there. Because
I want to see 3 iterations of it as well, too.
No, it's cool. We do a lot of like internships and stuff like that. We work with Crossroads. We do stuff like that.
Awesome.
And by the time people leave an internship with us, they know how to design, they know how to manufacture, they know, and to do that, I think, to take idea and get a physical thing you can hold in your hand and know that process is extremely powerful.
Very cool. Well, my key takeaways from this thing are, first, you're building a really cool company here. You took it from like the newsstand and brought it into an urban setting in the East End, which I think is absolutely amazing. B, you're allowing people to prototype and make stuff super fast, and just it obliterates the rules of the past that really hampered innovation, right? And now, like, I feel like if you're a company out there, you got to go to your website. We have it in the description here, and learn how you can access these things, because some of us may not really realize how, like, wait a second, if I have these ideas, I can iterate quickly and not expensively like it used to be. And that to me is you guys are really changing how stuff is getting made, and you're making great stuff for a number of companies. Plus, you have these amazing widget spinners that I keep playing with. I'm spinning it around. So, anyhow, guys, thank you for joining me here in the Huntington Bank Studios. Totally appreciate it. Keep doing the good work. We'll catch you on the flip side.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks for having us, Jonathan.
This has been Jonathan Kirsting with the Pittsburgh Technology Council. Love giving you that front row seat to Pittsburgh's technology and innovation ecosystem. I'll catch you on the next one.